Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be watching a video called Understanding European Soccer in 4 Simple Steps, a guide for Americans. I have no idea what this is because I think the basic rules of soccer, I think those are the same everywhere. I think I want to say they have, there's 2 teams and I don't know how many players there are. I think it's I want to say 12, but I'm not sure if it's 14 or something like that. And, there's positions and the goal is to pass the ball, well, to score, obviously, to score, but, you have to score through passes, making passes through other teammates. So I don't know, but maybe because it's soccer in Europe, it means like the season, like it's football season, soccer season. And maybe that's what this video is going to explain. I know that they have a season, obviously, like every sport, but I don't really know. I'm guessing they play during the summer, maybe, because obviously it's open field, maybe. And there's gonna be, I know there's a championship or several. I don't know, because, it's teams, right? Everyone has a club, so I don't really know. So let's check it out and comment, subscribe, and start.
Welcome to Understanding Soccer in Europe in 4 Simple Steps,
Great.
A guide for Americans. Although from the outside it may seem complex and confusing, to understand how soccer works in Europe, you really only need to know 4 things.
Okay,
Number
great.
1, each country has its own soccer league.
Oh!
From August to May, in which each team plays every other team twice, once at home and once on the road. Games are divided into 2 45-minute halves, and when the game is over, the winner is awarded 3 points, the loser 0, and in the event of a tie, each team gets 1 point.
Fair,
After each team has played all the other teams twice, the team with the most points is crowned champion of the league. They get a big trophy, a parade, and the season is over. There are
That's
no playoffs. Sort of. But more on that in a minute. Before the books are closed on the season, there is still one small bit of housekeeping to be done. Number 2, relegation. We'll use the German league as an example. Every year, when the German league has concluded and the champion has been crowned, the 3 teams with the least amount of points are kicked out of the league. This process is known as relegation. The 3 vacant spots are subsequently filled by the top 3 teams from Germany's 2nd division. And unlike, say, baseball in the US, teams in the 2nd and subsequent divisions are not owned by teams in the top division. Imagine if the Pittsburgh Pirates or Oakland Raiders had to fight at the end of each season just to stay in the league. What if instead of coasting to the bottom,
this is worthless, but I like it.
They were fighting to the bitter end to avoid the $40 million revenue loss that relegated teams suffer in the first year alone.
Okay,
not to mention the
that's
fact
a lot
that
of money.
In England, 9 different teams have gone financially insolvent within 5 years of relegation.
Oh my God.
Interesting enough, you're thinking. But what about that whole lack of playoffs part? Number 3. Each country also holds an elimination-style tournament, referred to as a cup. But instead of being held after the 9-month league is over, cup games are scheduled in between league games, normally in the middle of the week.
That's a lot.
One additional perk about the cup system is that teams from all levels, down to semi-professional and even some amateur
so you're playing against
are invited
everyone.
to play. And if they do well, can progress, and occasionally even knock off a top team. So every year, these midweek elimination games continue until there are only 2 teams left, who play each other in the cup final. After 90 minutes, a cup champion is crowned, they get a trophy,
another champion.
So, between the league and cup games,
parade.
we get a great picture of who the best and worst teams in each country are. But wait a second, you ask. What would happen if the best teams from each country in Europe all got together and played each other? Good idea. Number 4. The resulting competition is called the UEFA Champions League, and it is without a doubt the single greatest club competition of any sport anywhere in the world.
Yeah, I thought that was it.
Think of the NCAA tournament, but with better quality of play, more than double the fan base, and quadruple the enthusiasm.
Of course, because it's everyone.
Europe even has their own version of the NIT as well. So, through a complex and drawn-out process, teams from all over Europe compete just to qualify for this tournament. And starting each September, the top 32 teams are put into 8 groups of 4.
Well, that's top 32.
Each team
that's
plays
a lot
the
of
other
teams.
members of its group 2 times, once at home and once on the road. Come December, the winner and runner-up from each group move on to the knockout round. And this is where club soccer is at its finest. Teams are paired up individually and again play 1 home and 1 away game, with the winner from each pair moving on to the next round until only 2 teams remain. The Champions League final is then held as a single game each year in May. And unless it's the World Cup year, this is the most important soccer game of the year. After 90 minutes, a champion is crowned, the trophy is awarded, parades commence, and all clubs go on break until the madness fires back up again in August.
They only have 3 months.
To review. Number 1, each country has its own league. Number 2, the worst teams are kicked out of the league and replaced by the best teams from the next division down. Number 3, throughout the year, each country also holds a playoff-type tournament called a cup. And number 4, the UEFA Champions League is a tournament involving all of Europe and is the most important competition in all
the world.
Club soccer.
Yeah. The end. Okay, this was very fast. I think I understand. I think what I thought, it was just they only had like one sort of cup, one sort of team, one sort of championship, and I think that's what I was thinking of is the Champions League. I think when I think of like, oh, soccer in Europe, I was thinking of like the Champions League. I had no idea, but it makes sense, right? Like, how are you getting like all those people? Because I obviously like that's in the whole continent, but obviously like each country has got to have their own regional like teams or all regional like cups and championships. So they also have that. What I think like it's like, okay, so it's basically like all year round. I don't know why I thought it was just like during the summer. I thought like, well, because it's cold, right? But no, it's like throughout the whole year, and it's like from September, and the other I think starts in, I think they mentioned May. Like it's in May and it ramps up again in August. I think those are like just like a couple of months of rest, which I'm like, okay, so you have soccer like all year long. Like it doesn't matter. Because obviously, like there's like different. I guess there's like different teams, but you have soccer like all year round. You only have like 3 months break if you're following this competition, and the competitions. It's like I don't have any free time because I'm following this and I'm following this and I have to follow this for like 9 months. It's a lot. I thought it was like a smaller. I don't know why I thought it was like a smaller window of time, maybe like 3 months. But no, it's year long. I'm wondering like the players, like I'm guessing they're like super tired. They only get like 3 months rest. Or maybe they're not the same players. I don't know. But I like the fact that it ends up in the same way like in celebration, but it's always a parade. There's a cup, obviously a cup. You gotta have a cup because it's soccer, it's sports, you want a cup. It's the cup, and I love that it's always a parade as well, because I guess that if it's in the regional in each country's like league, obviously like they're gonna in the city that the team's from, obviously the city is gonna be like, no, this is a holiday, like in the whole city, like no one works, no one goes to school, it's a whole parade, it's a whole thing, it looks lovely. And if it's the country, well, it's gotta be the same, right? It's like it's a whole parade, it's a whole thing. I think it looks like it's probably a very joyous situation, and a lot of people go to these things. The whole thing that actually like shocked me is the thing that in the Champions, like it's the world, like in the world is the event that has like that has probably the most fans, the most attendees, but it makes sense because again, it's the whole continent, and Europe is huge, so everyone's going to be invested in going to the Champions. And there's a lot of games because if each team plays twice, and there's I think 32 teams, so it's a lot of games. I don't think that you can probably go to a few of them if you want to go to this season or something, or one of these games, but I don't think you can go to each and every one of those games, right? Because it's insane to go to like 40 games, 50, 60 games, because people like they have lives, right? So, and the thing is because they say one regional and one as a visitor. I don't know how they handle like the like who plays local, who goes where. I don't know if it's like random. But if you're following, like they said, like, I don't know, one of those like German teams, like, I don't know, the Bayern. So you have to go, and one is regional, so great, it's in your own country. But then maybe like they have to play, I don't know, in Spain. So you have to like go to Spain, and if you're like, you're like, no, I want to watch them play. So you have to go to Spain, and then you have to like follow along. I don't know, it sounds crazy, but also very fun. Although maybe I'm seeing like, I'm imagining it's like a very hassle. Like, I don't know if like they play only on the weekends or Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, or they play, just like a weekday. Or maybe I'm just like, oh my god, it's a lot of like, what a hassle, I can't go there. But maybe in Europe, like they have trains, right? And things like or you can drive. So it's not that hard. Like you can go and like, it's like I don't know, like a 1 hour flight or something. So I'm like, it's feasible. Like you can go and like return on that same day or something. So it's not that big of a deal. But I'm wondering how many people, like how like the people that go to these games, they are locals, or do they actually like follow along? All you follow your team, so you're like, I'm following my team, so I have to go to England, I have to go to Spain, Portugal, I don't know, like other countries, Italy, whatever. So I'm following them. So I'm wondering how many of those, like if you're a real fan, well, not a real fan, everyone's a real fan if you're like, if you consider yourself a fan. But if you are like the biggest fan and you can, and you're like, no, I'm following along, I'm wondering how the percentage and the statistics of how many people actually like, are they locals here, or is just like a bunch of people that come from everywhere? They made it seem like it's a lot of people that come from everywhere, and it's just like, it's not locals, it's like it's everyone. Because obviously everyone wants to go to this, because like he said, it's like the greatest like soccer event. If you don't have a World Cup, obviously it's understandable, because again, it's like the whole world. It's this, but imagine in Europe and a World Cup, it's like bigger because it's the whole world. So it's like, okay, incredible. But yeah, I think I understand it better. It was quite, I think what like I get is like, there's a lot of games. It's fine like if you miss one, because there's a lot of games. And also I like the fact that it's like very ruthless, and the fact that they like, if they cut you, if you end up in like in the three last or something, I think it was three in the last spots, like you get kicked out. So it's a lot of effort, like you have to really do maintain your level, because otherwise you're gonna get kicked out, and that's obviously not ideal. So I like the fact that it's an incentive to actually like be better, and maybe not be better, but at least stay where you are. You gotta have like their standards, and if you're not following those standards, like bye. And it's great because the other teams that are second division, they also get the opportunity to actually follow along, to move along, the ladder. So it's great, because it's like, hey, you deserve your spot. Everyone, it seems very fair, I think. You earned your spot, or if you're not cutting it, like you're out. So I like how fair it is. I love that. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.